Welcome to the Angus Conversation. I'm your host, Miranda Reiman, with my co-host, Mark McCully, CEO of the American Angus Association. We're here for day 2 in Tulsa, and we are looking forward to a great day. It's morning right now, so we're looking forward to a great day of contests. We kind of consider this contest day, Mark.
One of the big contest days, yep, and had a great opening ceremonies last night. For those that have not ever participated or seen what that's like, each of the states come out as a group, and so it's fun to see some of the states, obviously, that have lots and lots of kids that are here. They come all out together, they get all dressed up, and we got lights and all fun and music and such, and then even some of the states that there may be one representative and comes out by themselves, right? And
it reminds me a little bit of the Olympics when you see like everything from Team USA to like a country you've not heard of that comes out with their one team.
Very much, yeah, kind of an Olympic opening ceremony kind of a feel to it. But no, it was fun. The kids have a great time. Obviously, they have a big time with it, and gets everybody all excited to take on the week. And then, of course, this morning started at 7:30 with the team fitting competitions, and so there was chute set up and kids going at it when I was over there earlier, and that's really, I know, one of the really popular events for kids to participate in. And we've got a golf tournament going on right now, the Angus Foundation's golf tournament. It also started off and a reasonably cool morning for it. And so
I don't know, it felt hot when I left the hotel.
Reasonably cool. Yeah, it's July and it's in Tulsa. So no, I know that was going to be a great event. We've got livestock judging this afternoon, lots of different contests, cook-off this afternoon, lots of things to participate in.
One thing that we talked about with our guests who are on today, that we're kind of dubbing this one Angus Juniors Go Global, was the way that the contests that they participated in through the National Junior Angus Association have prepared them to have success in future contests and endeavors, and maybe even earned them the spot to travel abroad.
Absolutely. Yeah, from skill-a-thons to speaking to judging to fitting, obviously showing all the things that all played into their participation to travel into some different parts of the world and represent the U.S.
So I don't want to give away too much of our really good conversation that we just had, Mark, but you were there at the World Angus Forum and got to watch the youth compete and all that they participated in, and just talk about how they represented the American Angus Association.
Yeah, so proud to watch those kids. And you know, we got into it a little bit here in the podcast, but it was, you know, there by design, there wasn't a ton of information. So a lot of the times you knew you were going into a certain kind of contest, but you really didn't know many details. No one did, right? And it was about adaptability, and it was about thinking on your feet, and about some pretty quick decision making and such. And so we got to watch a little of the competition and at the forum. A lot of it we didn't see, but we got to watch a few of the things, and they just did such a great job. It was by design, a pretty diverse group that had some different backgrounds, but just watching the kids across all of the teams. I mean, obviously these are just some of the best and brightest and some just fantastic kids from all over the world, and all coming together and having fun. Lifelong friendships, I'm sure, that were established there for the handful of days, and Team USA did our country quite proud. I know all our members would be so proud of the job they did.
I think all of our guests today, you're going to want to listen to this podcast, and they're going to be young adults to watch as they go out in the industry and do some great things and stay connected to the breed.
No doubt.
So today's guest co-host from the National Junior Angus Board is Jonwyn Ayres from Oregon. And Jonwyn, you've been on the board now. This is your second year?
Yeah, this is my final year, yep.
Okay, very good. And you are communications chair? No, I'm
vice chair, yeah.
Vice chair. And what have been your responsibilities this week, or what are you guys kind of taking care of all week?
Yeah, we really divide and conquer when it comes to the National Junior Angus Show. The host state has a tremendous amount of responsibility, but we do as well, just integrating and making contest improvements, doing the Angus mentorship program. Obviously, you probably see us a lot in the ring. That is a really big job, to be the very best ring stewards that we possibly can, and just giving juniors the very best experience that we can. So it's a busy week, and we all kind of go different directions. So my personal responsibilities this week is definitely that Angus mentorship program, and I'm pretty integrated into the judging contest that's about to happen down on the floor. So just
kind
a lot
of near and
different
dear to your heart.
Yeah,
judging.
very, very
Yeah.
special
All you
to
guys.
me.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
special to this group.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, we talked about yesterday that inaugural showmanship contest, but you kind of already alluded to. So today is judging contest. CAB cook-off will be this afternoon. What kind of are you looking forward to?
Today is definitely a contest day, very oriented that direction. And then tonight is our annual meeting where we will hear from our new junior board candidates as well as some different bylaws. And it's really just our awesome dinner where we all come together as junior members.
Yeah. Fitting contest started this
Yes,
morning.
yes.
Right? Team fitting contest. It was going heavy up there this morning earlier.
Oh
Yeah.
boy, and these juniors are talented.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark always says that if he had to fit against the crews that are out there today,
No,
you wouldn't
no.
you wouldn't stand out.
No, not anymore. No.
Very good.
Well, I'd stand out, just not in a good way. Yeah, I'd stand out.
So before we introduce our guests that we have with us today, why don't you just give us your kind of elevator speech on who is Jonwyn for anyone who doesn't know you?
Awesome. Well, yeah. So I predominantly, I'm an Oregon native, but did grow up as well in the Montana Junior Angus Association. Moved back to be closer to some family in Oregon, and was a past Oregon FFA state officer. Took a year off, and then really took a big leap of faith and went to junior college all the way out in Illinois at Blackhawk, and then was really grateful to be recruited down here to Stillwater at Oklahoma State University to just continue on the livestock judging path. Right now, my undergraduate is in animal science with a concentration in pre-law. I'm very interested and actively applying to law school. That's kind of my path and my direction. So I'm really excited to be here with some really awesome guests. Right now, sitting with us is Sam Jordan from Savannah, Missouri, and Tucker Stagemeyer from Page, Nebraska. Some really talented juniors that we've kind of always known of each other in the livestock judging realm, and always excited to look at good stock.
And you guys have something in common in that everybody sitting at this table has recently, I guess everybody but me, has recently been involved in some international experiences.
Yeah, the last 60 days, right?
Yeah. Maybe we'll start with Sam because you're fresh off are you even in the right time zone, Sam?
I am now.
Very good.
Yeah. So we traveled to Scotland. We left the 18th and just got back a couple days ago. But we went to the Royal Highland Show to compete at that competition. And so we got the invitation to go through the National 4-H competition. We were third at Louisville. And so that gave us the invitation to go to Scotland and have that experience, which was very, very cool. Things are a lot different in that part of the world, but it was very intriguing to get to see the different perspectives and views that they have.
Very good.
So a little bit about your background. You live just north of St. Joe.
Yeah. So I live in Savannah, Missouri, and we're about 15 minutes from St. Joe, the headquarters for American Angus Association. I'm graduated from high school this spring, and I'm attending Redlands Community College in El Reno, Oklahoma this fall, and I'm very excited. I'm going to go the ag business route while I'm in junior college, and then I plan on getting into nutrition once I transfer to senior college.
Very good.
Fantastic. And you're wearing a K-State hat, so is that the plan for the 4-year program, or to be determined?
Well, that's not decided yet.
Yeah.
All my family has gone there. My sister will graduate next year from K-State as well.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
Very good.
Cool.
And then across the way here, we have Tucker. So, Tucker, you were part of the crew with Jonwyn and two other teammates that traveled down to the World Angus Forum.
Garrett and Claire that went to the World Angus Forum.
Yeah, it was about a 2-week trip that flew out to Sydney, had a bit of a day to tour around, and then things picked up with contests and definitely kept us on our toes throughout the week. There wasn't a lot of downtime, but I thought our team meshed really well together. Got to see a lot of good cattle, and seeing the appreciation for Angus cattle internationally was very eye-opening and pretty neat experience.
Yeah. And talk a little about your background. So you're a Nebraska native, as I understand, up in my husband's home country. You're part of the state.
Yeah, sure thing. So I'm from northeast Nebraska. I grew up on a diversified farm and ranch operation, so registered and commercial cows, corn and soybeans all under pivot. And then a big part of our operation is custom backgrounding, which would be a mix of partner and owned cattle. So yeah, that definitely set me up well for the contest, being involved in a little bit of everything. But I just graduated from Butler Community College, I was on the livestock judging team, and we were named Team of the Year, so that was a pretty neat honor.
Congratulations.
And then here this fall, I'll be attending Kansas State University, majoring in ag econ with a pre-law option. So
A couple of lawyers here.
Good for us.
Yeah, that's right. Very good.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about your guys' team and how, we understand you earned your way there, but how did you guys get selected for that team for the World Angus Forum?
Sure. It was an application process, and then after that, there was a personality test we took. And, I was honest through it, but that was certainly something I didn't anticipate, but I think it really proved itself because we got along so well and knew each other's strengths. And then a lot of prep beforehand. We had some Zoom meetings with some Australians. The meats judging portion we probably weren't as well versed in, especially because they have their own system down there for meats judging, and so we had a Zoom for that to prepare, and then just to learn the basics about just how they run stuff.
I really think it was one of the most unique applications I've ever filled out, and I really appreciated that personality test, just because what was interesting about our team, Miranda, is that really a lot of those teams in Australia already knew each other.
Sure.
And we knew of each other, and we had a lot of prep, but we really hadn't been put into high stress or competitive situations yet. And what really just deemed to be true was that personality test helped us mesh tremendously. And all the different backgrounds that were represented, Claire Stevenson up in Montana has a tremendous background, as well as Garrett Hansacker from Illinois. We all came from all different walks of life and all different perspectives, but it was really, really fun to come together and really prove ourselves when we at first were quite intimidated that everyone already knew each other.
Right, yeah.
Well, and the U.S. hadn't sent a youth team to the World Angus Forum and
you were our guinea pigs
forever. And so, we didn't know exactly how to help prepare you guys, right? And but I know in the application process, it was really about finding a team that has some diverse backgrounds. We did look at behavioral assessment just to kind of get some idea. Is this team gonna gel, or you guys spent a lot of time together,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And just make sure, again, under pressure, that the team was going to really work well together. And you guys, the news is out, and it's been out for a while, and you guys did bring home the number1 spot and was a champion youth team in Australia at the World Angus Forum. So very, very cool. It worked.
USA. Yeah. It's pretty exciting. I reread that story last night just to familiarize myself. You guys had a lot of contests that you had to compete in. Maybe give us a rundown.
I think that's an understatement.
And had to take care of cattle?
At the same time.
I didn't know that part of it. That was...
Yeah, that's what... between contests, we worked a little showmanship with the heifers to get them used to us and get them figured out. And so, we didn't even really have a break in between. So,
but my favorite on your showmanship heifer, she still had like glue from her eye patch on. Is that right? That you had to get clipped out? And yeah,
that's what we got them unclipped, and so we had to get them roughed out. And then that would have been the day after the fitting contest, I believe. So at least she was looking in a little better shape. But
you guys had her by the end. I mean, she was broken.
We got her broke. Quickly she did not start out like that.
You transformed her.
It was rough at first. Both of those females were actually coming out of heat, and one of the females was really, really hairy, and we had to completely rough her out and full fit her in 1 hour, which... how our style of American fitting is we touch every single hair and we're trying to perfect every single piece we can. And in an hour, I was quite intimidated, but we did get it done.
Yeah. But no, props to the breeders there in Australia to trust kids basically with their heifers, and that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, the organization and behind the scenes was so eye-opening and so interesting. So to answer your question, just a few more contests. There was a debate contest, there was a tremendous amount of different farming and application processes about anything from fencing to safety protocols to backing up a bumper pull trailer with a manual that is the steering wheel is on the wrong side of the vehicle. That was a challenge.
You didn't practice that on Zoom?
We did not practice that on Zoom. Claire really came in handy there. And from showmanship to that team fitting and livestock judging, and I know I'm missing some. It was
the cattle handling.
The cattle handling. handling was
I
very.
enjoyed that. Pretty familiar.
That was pretty interesting. I've never been challenged as to how well can we sort on foot, and I think that we
Tucker's
really,
like I have. Do you know my dad?
well, yeah.
That's a challenge every day.
But to just be with new people around cattle on foot, we really just said, it's going to be okay, guys. Get after it. We're going to sort them.
Yeah.
You guys did
Wow,
awesome.
that's a pretty diverse set of things to be prepared for and to then go do in another country. At least the language was the same, but I heard you guys talking earlier, and Sam, you as well, that even when the language is the same, the words aren't all the same and the accents make it difficult.
It's difficult to understand them. I was having troubles understanding some of the natives there, but eventually I started to pick up on it towards the end of the week, but it was definitely a little challenging to pick up on.
Sure. Talk a little bit about your experience. So you were there strictly at a judging contest.
Yes.
Would that be what we would imagine as our judging contest here, or were there differences?
Completely different in terms of the way they're formatted. So it's a very fast-paced contest on the floor. You only have 4 minutes per class, and so you are moving quick. So there's 4 classes, but I was the last group to go in. By the time our group got in there, we had 1 minute left because they already started before everyone got in there.
Oh, geez.
Holy
So it's I kind
Speed
of
sorting.
Yes. I kind of enjoyed it just because you can't second guess yourself. You just have to stick to the basics and fundamentals and go from there. But it was definitely fast paced. But the thing that was interesting for me was that we had a 2-hour break in between when we were on the floor and when we gave reasons. So they would just let us roam around the Highland Show for 2 hours before we gave reasons, which in a contest we'd sit in America, we'd sit down in a chair and we'd stay there.
Room.
We can't move. And so that was a lot different. But reasons, that was interesting. They didn't have a reasons order, so I was the 5th one to go. They just randomly pulled people, so they called my name, Sam Jordan from Missouri, and you didn't know which set you were giving. So we had a set of Shorthorns and we had a set of Angus heifers, and as you walked up to the table, they told you which set you were giving.
So it was like extemporaneous reasons.
Yes, so you had to have all your sets prepped, which there was only 2, but you had to have them prepped before you walked up to the table because you didn't know which set you were giving.
So which ones did you get to give?
So I gave the Shorthorns first, and I gave the Angus second.
Okay.
But it was a little intimidating walking up to that table, not knowing which set I was giving.
For sure, yeah.
And it's not 1, 2, 3, 4 like it is here. It's ABXY, and so just spitting out ABXY is pretty difficult. I wouldn't think it'd be as difficult as it was, but saying I placed this class ABXY in a different order, it's
not even ABCD. I'm
no,
like,
I struggled with that, to be completely
I would
honest.
believe
understand.
that, yeah. And that was for everybody. They weren't just like, we're gonna give this American block something different.
That was everyone.
Well, and you guys in Australia, the livestock judging contest was different. It was more like you were judging a show, right?
Yeah, the reasons was a microphone, and we could see the cattle, which was so different.
Yeah.
You never get to peek back at the livestock
Which is
when you're
kinda
giving
nice.
a set of reasons. It was interesting because I'm just not in that mindset. I should have just thought, oh, I'm judging the show right now.
Yeah. That's really more what it was like.
And then could people listen to them? Was
Yes,
the
there was
audience
an
was
audience.
there?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
So that would be intimidating. Yeah.
That was, yeah.
And did you all have to give reasons?
No, just 2 individuals from the team did.
Yep.
So clearly you nominated Jonwyn for sure.
Yeah, she knocked it out of the park. So in the debate as well, debate was pretty neat. Jonwyn's a terrific public speaker, and all of us took part in that. But no, certainly a lot of public speaking involved, and I thought the whole team did great in that regard. Came second in the debate, but no, that's something I'd never been a part of. So before.
Yeah.
And Jonwyn came away with the award for
William McLaren Memorial Award that was given for, it's a combination of judging and speaking.
Yeah, that was a very
Yeah.
exciting and an absolute honor. At that point, we didn't know that we were the world champions. So it was really, really special. And then just the grand finale was really, our jaws were on the floor a little bit. It was a big surprise because throughout the entire competition, we were not just consistently placing first. We didn't really know a lot of the results by the end, and so many things were so different that there was really no expecting what was about to happen around the next corner. So we were absolutely so grateful, and it was pretty surprising. It was a pretty special moment there in Australia.
we're going to pause for just a quick minute to hear a word from Vermeer, our podcast sponsor.
My name is Nick Jorgensen. I'm the CEO of Jorgensen Land and Cattle here in Ideal, South Dakota. When it comes to getting forages put up, the most important thing for us is getting it done as efficiently as possible. And that's largely dictated by the equipment that you're using. So we've really focused on looking out in the industry and finding the best, most efficient equipment that we can find out there. If you don't have equipment that's reliable and that runs well when you get it in the field and stays running, you're going to have a hard time. Vermeer products are a big reason that we can get more done in a day.
See how Vermeer helps Angus producers do more at vermeer.com/Angus.
Now back to the conversation.
Sam, over to the Royal Highland, we're jumping back and forth in these different events, but they're both such cool events. How many teams, how many countries would have been represented there that you competed against?
So I don't know the exact number, but there was teams from across the world. A lot of Scottish teams. Ireland, there was a bunch represented there. America actually had a lot of teams there. We had 3 Texas teams, Wyoming, Colorado.
Because you can qualify different ways,
yes,
right?
So you can qualify through 4-H and FFA. We qualified through 4-H, but you can qualify through a multitude of different American Royal, the Louisville, multiple different livestock events. So there was a lot of U.S. representation there, which is very cool.
Very cool.
And you were judging multi-species?
So you got to pick in between cattle or sheep. Those are the only two that you get to judge there. So our entire team just chose cattle because we thought that would be, we are all cattle kids. Actually, I heard from a lot of the kids that did the sheep side that they were pretty similar to what we see here for breeding sheep. But they said that they blew a whistle and the handlers would actually go catch them in a pen. Like they'd run after them and go catch them. And it was very different than what you normally see.
Sure, hands-on. Yeah.
So maybe outside of the contest, talk about some of the other things you got to see in the country. Maybe Sam, what are some of the things you guys got? You said you got to go walk around the show. Did you get to go kind of tour the countryside a little bit?
Yeah. So the first couple of days we just toured the show and looked around, and the show is huge. It's an Illinois State Fair. 10 times bigger than that. It's acres on acres of activities and different things. And so it actually took a couple days to get through. It would probably take you about 2 hours to walk from one side to the other. That's how big the show itself was. But then the next couple of days, we went to St. Andrews and looked out on the beach, and then also that historic golf course that is there. So we got to go through there and look at the golf course and all the different buildings and architecture. I'm not the biggest history person, but I loved looking at all those cool buildings. How they designed those and how they're still standing today was very intriguing to me. We also went to Edinburgh and went through the castle and went through the different churches, which was very, very interesting to see. So it was very cool. We stuck to those two. The tour itself is actually in London right now. They went from Ireland to London. Fortunately, we had to come back for some obligations that we had here, but it was very intriguing.
Junior nationals.
Yeah, a couple junior nationals. But the couple of days that we did get to tour, it was very cool just to see all those different things.
Very good. And how about those of you guys in Australia? Did you have any time to tour between the packed schedule?
Yeah, so we were able to take in the Sydney Opera House, which was really neat. We took a ferry across the bay, which is only 60 cents for us Americans, so it's pretty economical, but we got to go to the beach. After that, first day we got to see quite a bit just because there wasn't competitions yet. My highlight, I like cars and racing and stuff, and one day, it wasn't on the itinerary, I believe. We went to Mount Panorama Circuit, which is the biggest racetrack in the Southern Hemisphere. That was really neat to see, and we actually took the charter bus on it and went for a hot lap, but that was a little bit of the touring around we saw.
Yeah, and some of the other places were really, really interesting cattle operations, and actually in Australia they call registered operations studs. So the very first time we show up to an Angus stud is what it's referred to. I'm thinking, oh, we're going to go collect some bulls, and I'm about to see some sires. Well, there obviously was some bulls there, but it simply was a seed stock operation that had registered Angus cattle, and it was really cool to just have those conversations about the industry, to see the different priorities priorities of not only different ranches and operations and studs that were happening in Australia, but just also the other participants that were there with us and other competitors. I absolutely loved striking up some conversations with them, not only about pedigrees, but just about priorities. So interesting, and just gave me and gave all of us such a worldwide view perspective of the things that are out there. I really liked that broadened our horizon. Absolute dream come true to be able to compete for not only American Angus Association, but we did refer to ourselves as Team USA. And so it was not only a blast, but an absolute honor that was very, very eye-opening.
Did you guys find that the cattle business was a lot different in these other parts of the world, or did you find a lot of similarities?
Well, grass-fed beef is certainly a bigger thing there, and I'll be honest, firsthand, I thought it was kind of odd, but after you come to Australia, you realize they're making the most out of the resources they have, and corn isn't as abundant down there as it is up here in the States, and so that'd be a reason why their cattle are finished so different. We toured a feedlot. It was about 55,000 head. We were told that cattle get docked heavy if they have too much mud tag on them, so most of them were bedded down with wood chips. Feedlot said they spend $2.5 million a year on wood chips, compost them, and then sell them to macadamia nut farmers. So that was certainly
very, very long fed out cattle. It was
Yes.
very interesting, yes.
10,000 head of them were Wagyus, which are on feed twice as long as the Angus there. So, no, just a lot of tidbits that are so much different. And just in that area where the feedlot was, they have some irrigation there, which would be similar to home. And those pivots were like Zimatics and Rankies, which are made in my home state, Nebraska. Which is
cool.
pretty neat to see.
Yeah. Did you also experience where you saw some American genetics over there, lines
yeah.
that you recognized?
I loved seeing some prefixes that I definitely knew, and seeing some bulls that I had even used on my own cows. So I think it's very, very interesting to have those conversations that were actually much more similar than we are different. And the more you just speak with a producer, the more that, the gentleman who allowed us to use his heifers had very similar priorities to us. We were looking at rib shape and how maternal they are and how much longevity they're going to offer, while still having a little bit of look for the show ring, but very, very square and good cattle. Look a little bit different just in terms of their silhouette, but very functional. Every operation we went to, I did think that they read with so much function, and I really enjoyed that.
Did you notice type differences in Scotland?
There were definitely a little bit more type and kinds that we see here. We actually had a little crash course session on what they look for before the contest, and so we were talking to a couple of the breeders of what they're looking for, what traits they are desiring, and so there was a lot of similarities. They look for maternal presence, they look for function like we do here. Maybe the way they go about that is slightly different, but the basics are the same. They look for foot quality, they look for maternal quality, and all those things are very similar. It's just maybe, like she said, the silhouette is a lot different, and so the way you have to look at them is different from what you would see here.
Sure. And you were giving your reasons to a Scottish panel there, so you wanted
I don't
to
know
make
if they understood us fully, but we try to keep our reasons.
Did you change your reasons and change your placing to try to fit, or did you judge them like you would have judged them here?
So we tried to fit what they were desiring, just because we knew we'd do better, obviously.
Because you're trying to win the contest, yeah.
And so they actually use Master Professor at the beginning of their set. They'll say, Master Professor, I placed this class, whatever the placing was, ABXY. And so that was very intriguing for me. I've never said anything like that before.
The ABXY, I can't get over.
It's different. But what we kind of did as a team was just kind of tone down our reasons, make them a lot more simplistic. They look for about that 40-second mark. They don't want anything longer than 40 seconds. So it's a very just short, sweet, get to the point,
fail.
which, So it was fun just because you kept it basic, and actually they used their notes there. None of us used our notes just because it would mess with us personally, but they used their notes, and so it was a lot different the way they did things.
Sure.
I thought, strategizing, we had a lot of team meetings of, are we going to mold ourselves to a different practice? And I just remember one conversation that we had there, Tucker, in the makeup area before the showmanship contest, and I go, we're going to show like we show, right? And you go, of course we are. And we showed like we show. And that worked out in our favor. But it was extremely interesting to mold our mindset. But really, a lot of the judges at the World Angus Forum were looking for who does the best high-quality job in terms of just that skill set and maybe how that country practices it. So we fit the female like we would here at the National Junior Angus Show. We showed them just like we would here. We gave a set of reasons. I did not look at the cattle mark. I turned around and gave it just like it was at a contest. So that was very interesting. So
that probably leads into a question about, did you guys learn anything about yourselves while traveling abroad? Anything?
Had you traveled internationally before?
I never have.
You never had? Jonwyn, you had?
I had. With my grandparents, it was my dream because I didn't quite qualify in high school to go to Scotland, so it was my dream to see some Angus cows.
Gotcha.
And Papa and Grandma took me on a trip of a lifetime, so I have been grateful enough to be abroad, but not in a competitive sense.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I got baptized in fire. I'd never flown alone before. And sure enough, I flew international by myself. That was
like
the
a
first
15-hour
time.
flight.
If we're going to do this.
What was yours, Tucker, 16?
Yeah, I flew direct from Dallas to Sydney.
You learned
I thought 10
something
hours
about,
was long.
you
All
learned
by
something
yourself.
about yourself
Yeah.
on a
Yeah.
16-hour flight.
With a cowboy hat in my lap. That was not very comfortable.
Should have bought one when you got down there, huh?
I don't know. That's not quite my style.
They wear a little different hat.
Yeah, they do.
That's right.
Well, I think just traveling internationally, right, is just that in and of itself is experience. But I'm sorry, your question was a great one.
So the question was.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I'm kidding. Did you learn anything about yourselves while traveling?
I'd say adaptability was probably the big thing for me. Just such a change, whether it was not eating fast food every other day like I did back in college, or on a serious note, just there are different practices over there, like livestock judging. You had to approach it with the mindset that they have their own priorities, or studying for new things like the meat judging contest, which had its own outline, or familiarizing yourself with the metric system a little more. Just some things like that, I would say.
Yeah, on some calculations, I go, Tucker, don't convert them back. Don't convert. Keep them the same.
Math skills. Yeah.
Sam, did you learn anything about yourself traveling internationally?
I'd say the same thing, just adapting to how they do things over there. Obviously, the judging contest was a lot different, so we had to adapt to what they were prioritizing, what they were looking for. But just the simple things, all the phone chargers, all the outlets are completely different.
Yeah.
I realized in our hotel room you have to leave your key card in a certain slot to actually keep the electricity on. And so it's just a lot different. So just adapting to those changes. There was no air conditioning, so you had to figure out when to close the window and open the window. It was cool.
Yeah.
I would say, just echoing obviously the adaptability, but also just the awareness. You're in a new culture, you're with new people, and you're in a competition setting all in the same time, and you're touring with your competitors. So that was all very, very interesting, but I think we really grew to love it. And by the end, I really just reflected on that positivity and resilience is really what held true on that specific success. We just, every single contest afterwards, we did our very, very best, and we believed in ourselves, and we're going to roll on to the next thing. And so I think we all learned so much about ourselves, and we also learned about our strengths and how to quickly tap into your strength, because we had no idea what was about to happen next, especially on some of those modules. And quite literally what our team would eventually do is look at someone and give them this look of, Tucker, you got this, and you're the lead on this one. We will all follow. So just different pieces of adaptability, and just how to be so positive and contagious in that way, to believe in ourselves, and it really it paid off in the end, and it's just an amazing thing to even reflect on and have a conversation about.
I'd say one thing to add on would be, we met so many different people, and really there's few things we had in common, but the common denominator was Angus cattle, and how I was able to connect with people from across the world because we shared the same interests. I thought that was pretty neat to realize that.
And probably met some lifelong friends now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. If you kept in contact with any of the folks you've met with internationally?
All of the World Angus Forum competitors, we are still in a live group chat.
No kidding.
So it is
That's
still...
like got to be a 24-hour thing.
So yeah, at 2 a.m.
Yeah, you might want to hit your do not disturb
My
when
do
you're
not
chat.
disturb is definitely on Snapchat because they do like to blow it up at certain times of the day when we are not available.
That's very good.
But I think we do the same back. So
yeah, it's
all
cool to
good.
see. Afterwards, it's been really neat to see Snapchats of people's places and where they're from, and just the trip hasn't ended yet in my mind because I'm still seeing so much more new stuff from that.
And in that very group chat, if this is easy enough to follow, the World Angus Forum competitors were at the Royal Highland Show, so we saw pictures of those competitors that were competing from that area, and they were having a blast. So it's so interesting that the world is connected, and we all love Angus cattle, and just an amazing dream of an experience.
Yeah, I kept in contact with a couple of the Scottish people there, and it, like you said, it's interesting to see their operations and how they do things. And so just keeping in contact, and we all have the same connection. They're not necessarily Angus people, but they are in the cattle industry, and that's one thing we all did have in common. We met a lot of people also from the United States. There's a lot of people there that I did not know before, and we all became a very tight-knit group and worked together very, very well. And so that was very cool, just to not only meet people from internationally, but also within our own states.
Yeah.
As kind of a wrap-up closing question, is there anything that you have done in the National Junior Angus Association that helped prepare you for this experience, or if there's other kids maybe looking to have international experiences as they get to be older members, are there things that they could be doing now?
I would say absolutely. Obviously, livestock judging has been touched on, but the Skillathon contest, whether it be the retail cut ID or the feedstuffs ID, that was certainly applicable to what we did overseas. I'm glad I took part in things like that, just to, I guess, deepen your knowledge for preparing you to take your competition to the next stage. That was a big thing for me. Done things on the state level, and then the national level prepared me here through the National Junior Angus Show, and then to advance it to the next level is pretty neat and certainly built off of each other. So yeah, I encourage juniors to take advantage of the opportunities that are here, because you don't know what it'll prepare you for.
Yeah, there's a lot of educational contests here that have prepared me very well, whether that's more on the speech side of things, public speaking. That helped a lot. I've done a lot of those growing up through the National Junior Angus Show, and I think that just helped me in general communicating, working with others, but also the livestock evaluation side. That's actually where I got started doing livestock evaluation, was here at the Junior Nationals. And so it's pretty cool working your way up and looking back and saying, here, this is where I started. Now I'm internationally judging livestock too. So there's a lot of different educational contests here that you definitely need to take advantage of.
Oh, the door was definitely a piece of that was definitely opened because of the American Angus Association, specifically the National Junior Angus Association, and just how it has molded, I think, each and every one of us. But speaking personally, as it's just molded me into the leader and the person that I am today, was really because of not only these conferences, but because of the competitions that we have been a part of here within the National Junior Angus Association. Specifically, one of the coolest parts was when we got done with showmanship, and we kind of all looked at each other and we go, holy moly, we just showed a cow in Australia. How cool was that? So amazing, and just so grateful that the association saw that light in us to send us.
Absolutely.
Well, as there are youth listeners listening, I think that's good advice for them, and to the adults that are maybe listening to these podcasts, that just tells you the investment that you've made and how it's paying off, and we appreciate that support of our youth.
Yes, juniors, say yes to everything. You never know where it will take you, or maybe what country you'll land in.
Well, and I think anytime there can be any sort of study abroad or just touch another culture, I mean, I think, we're Americans and we tend to see the world through American eyes, right? And it's just to get on in some of these other countries and just see how they view things different. Australia is a great example. 85% of what they produce is exported. So they think very globally. They think about export markets all the time. we tend to think about it as 15% of what we do or less. And so just, again, that's specific to the industry, but just in general, seeing different ways of life, different ways that, you plug your phone in the wall, right? All the stuff I just think is so eye-opening and builds perspective. And I always encourage young folks, if they get any opportunity, little or big, to take it.
Amen. So we always wrap up on a random question of the week, although I'm so random I forgot it yesterday. But today's random question of the week, we're going in to the fitting contest, and this question is courtesy of Megan Silvera, our managing editor. It's got to be a quick, snappy answer. Are you ready for this? If the regional managers had a fitting contest, who would win?
Oh, Will Harsh.
Okay. Jonwyn's
Adam
panicking.
Conover.
Okay, Adam, all right.
Ooh, those were good ones.
It's not Kurt Kangas.
It's not. Yeah, Kurt.
That's literally what Holly Martin said too.
Oh boy, I'm just gonna have to back those votes.
No, you gotta pick your own
votes. You know what? I'm gonna give. Let's go, Quanah.
Quanah. Yeah, right. We know that's wrong.
Well, it sounds like we need to have maybe a celebrity RM fitting competition or something at the next National Junior Show to settle this. So.
I agree. I will agree.
There can be wagers. It can be a foundation fundraiser. I think we got a big idea here.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
We're on it for next year. Well, thank you so much, guys, for sharing your international experience with us. I think those of us who've been watching and cheering you on from the sidelines, it's really fun to get to hear a little bit more about those experiences.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Junior Takeover of this podcast. For all the results, behind-the-scenes stories, and extra photos from Tulsa, be sure to pick up your September copy of Angus Journal. Not a subscriber? Visit angusjournal.net to learn more. This has been the Angus Conversation, an Angus Journal podcast.